Reality TV is one of the most popular form of television. From dating shows, from social experiments, to lifestyle celebrities. We love the drama, we love the chaos, and we also love the controversy. We tend to label this type of TV as brain rot television. However, how can something be brain rot when it's actually shaping our culture and our society, whether negatively or even positively? So what is the cost, or what is the problem of reality TV in our generation today? Hello, welcome back. It is Michaela. So glad to be back. I sound probably a little bit different because I've had my wisdom tooth saga recently and it looks a little bit swollen. I sound a little bit different, but just please ignore. But welcome back. But here we are, another episode of film, TV, television, and society. If you're new here, why don't you subscribe? Because there are a lot of videos coming ahead. And why don't you just join the party early before it gets a lot crowded, right? Like before it gets really crowded, why don't you just come along and just join early and you be one of the early crew? It's always good to join the party quickly and join the party early instead of later, you know? Today, we're going to be talking about reality TV, and it has been on my mind of recently because we have Love Island that's come back on, Love Island US, Love Island UK, and I've seen so many conversations on TikTok and Instagram of just how we're engaging with these like reality TV shows. And it just sparked so much of my interest, and it sparked so much in my brain to be like, I just want to talk about it. I just want to talk about it. I just want to talk about it, and that's okay. And I also want to, challenge reality TV a little bit. And I think we've seen a couple of videos out there, people challenging it, discussing it, and like the consequences of it and the good things about it and all that stuff. But it's not Michaela's spin on things. And I kid you not, the second most hardest thing that I did was to not watch reality TV for a year. And this is what I've learned. But now I am watching reality TV again, but not all of them and not as frequent. And I just have a little bit more brain cells and critical thinking to apply to what I'm watching now. So yeah, this is not about don't watch it, go away from it. I just had to go away from it for a bit and just, analyzing the things that I was watching a little bit more so I can share with you guys. We're going to also break down this conversation into 3 parts. Number 1, how dating shows are shifting culture. Number 2, how lifestyle shows are a problem. And number 3, is social experiments exploitative or insightful? We have so many dating shows. We have Love is Blind, we have Too Hot to Handle, we have The Perfect Match, we also have X on the Beach, Are You the One? I watched all of these. I remember watching all of these, and I just don't even know why the heck I was watching them in the first place at such a young age. One thing I know is for a society and a culture that always screams that relationships, marriage, and love is so overrated, we sure do have a lot of dating shows. If dating and love and relationships and companionship was not such a big deal, and we listen to culture where it says like love is overrated and like you don't need love and like relationships and marriage are a trap, then why do we have so many dating shows? Like it just doesn't add up to me, right? From watching these dating shows, it makes you question, is it dating itself that we don't like, or is it that our approach to dating has been altered and we have a problem when it comes to relating with the opposite sex, or talking to people, or dating people, or talking or like engaging with people on a romantic level? Have we just lost the art of dating? Or is it that people just don't want to date anymore? And I think that's the interesting part. Like we have dating apps and we have people that are trying to date. We have people who want to be in relationships. So for culture in the world to say that love and relationships are so overrated, but we have dating shows that are popular and people are watching them, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. It doesn't connect. It just shows that people do want relationships, people do want companionship, people do want to have a partner that is a long life partner, but we just don't know how to approach dating anymore. I think that's the problem. It's like if we do want good relationships and we do want to approach relationships better, are these shows the best representation and good examples for people to know how to get into relationships? That's the question, because we are consuming so much of people's experiences, and like you see how guys treat women and how women treat men in these dynamics, and it just makes you wonder, okay, is this a good example that I should be consuming if I want to get in a relationship? I don't know. Like, I just don't know if that is something that we should be looking at as these are the dating shows, these are good examples, and I don't even think it maybe is about good example or bad example, but the more you consume something, the more you normalize it. And the more we normalize these dating shows and like very superficial and shallow responses to romance, then isn't that just how the rest of the world is going to look at dating and relationships? Quite flimsy, quite fickle, quite shallow, quite superficial, instead of actually looking at depth.
I miss Shelly, but I love Coco.
With Ace, I feel very strongly. Chris, he's just as great. What?
You get what I mean? We know how influential social media can be, but I sometimes think we forget how TV is also so influential. Think about even like the terminologies and like how we talk about people, like red flags and the Castle Moore effect, and like, you know, I've got the ick. The ick became so popular after Love Island. I can't remember what year it was, but there was a particular year that Love Island said ick, or like one particular contestant said ick, and from then ick has become part of our daily vocabulary. It is like second nature for us.
And it's just like, it's ick. When you're seeing a boy and you get the ick, like it doesn't go, and it's one of those things, once you've caught it.
Still getting that vibe that I did last night, like the ick, then that will be it.
Yeah.
Maybe I was just too quick to like judge straight away, because I said I got the ick and
You told him you got the ick.
And it's just so interesting how we go about and thinking just social media is the only thing that influences us, but no, these dating shows also have a huge influence. Like, somebody could then say, oh, I have the ick because he wears flip-flops, or I have the ick because he drinks his drink with a straw. Like, I don't know, there are so many ridiculous icks out there, and I just wonder whether or not the reason why our culture, and when you hear people's reasoning for dating or not dating, or the reason for not talking to somebody, is because it's superficial. Is it because what we're watching on the screen has also made it very superficial, has made relationships and romantic dynamics extremely superficial? So then when you hear someone in daily life have a standard that just doesn't really make sense, it's like, okay, cool, but where did you get that from? It might not be particularly from the show, but the idea that I can pick something very, very low and very, very superficial as a standard, that is the problem about dating shows. Reality TV is highly influential, and we should stop denying that and classifying it as just brain rot trash TV, because evidently it's not. Look at how much it impacts people's vocabulary, culture, decision making, thoughts, opinions. It has a huge impact, because if you keep normalizing these dynamics and these romance and how people get into relationships, then it's just, you know, everybody's just going to be doing the same thing in the real world. But I do want to say, one thing I do respect about these dating shows is not all bad. I think it also shows the reality of relationships. I am a married woman, and I know how hard it is to build and to navigate and to communicate with someone who's completely different to you. So I do love the fact that dating shows at least that relationships are not easy. Like, it's not also like, you can't build something just based on attraction and how the person looks. It has to be something deeper than just attraction. So I do respect that some dating shows do display that, and how it shows the fragility or the weaknesses of a particular relationship when there is nothing in common, or like there's no respect for each other, or you don't listen to each other, there's no communication, or there's certain things that you need. And I think people do recognize that when they do watch the show of, oh, this person doesn't respect that person, this is not going to last. And then you kind of look at it and learn, I'm like, okay, in order to have a strong relationship, you have to respect each other. So I do think dating shows displays that, but then at the same time, where are the examples of strong, healthy relationships on these dating shows? I don't see them. Do I want more of them? Absolutely. I don't look at the world for examples, because the world is very fickle, and I think a lot of people have very crazy standards, expectations, and a way of life that I don't necessarily align with, right? So I don't get my examples and my ideals from the world, and that's fine. But there are some people out here, right, who literally get the ideals and standards and perspectives from the things that they watch, listen to, and consume overall. I just feel like our generation, it is so it's a need of critical thinking, of analyzing the things that we watch, and actually taking a second to be like, oh, what did I just watch there? And what is this trying to actually influence me? What is this trying to say to me? And whether or not it's intentional or non-intentional, it is still having an influence on you. So that's my take on the dating shows. Like I said, I used to watch every single reality TV. Let me give you the list, right?
Oh, wait, excuse me. Did you just say let's talk about the husband?
Let's not talk.
Yeah, my husband, I know that. This ain't Phaedra. This ain't Phaedra. You ain't gonna disrespect our man.
Vanderpump Rules, All the Real Housewives, The Kardashians, Married to Medicine, Love and Hip Hop, Basketball Wives, Wags, Selling Sunset, and a couple more that I couldn't remember. But scariest thing that has happened in reality TV, that people's lives has become product, commodities, has been packaged in a way that is kind of trying to convey a certain storyline. Like, for example, the Kardashians, for example, you know that they are going to use a particular story or a particular moment to become the reason, to become the main point of that season. For example, someone got pregnant, or like it could be a cheating scandal, it could be a business scandal, it could be anything. That is the main point of that season. So they will hold out on this saying anything about anything until that season, because that is what makes it good TV. The controversy, the chaos, the back and forth, the sister dynamics, so all these things, that is all commercialized. That's all making their lives a product and now becoming a transactional experience. I've said this before many times on my Instagram, where reality TV, especially lifestyle ones, is so interesting to me that we know so much about these people online. For example, I know so much about Lisa Vanderpump, right? I know so much about Lisa Rinna. I know so much about Dorit Shawnee on Basketball Wives. I know so much about Nene Leakes. Like, I know so much. But then these guys don't even know my name. Like, these guys don't even know I exist. But I know so much about you to a degree. Obviously, parasocial relationship, I honestly think that's the next level. I know so much about your kid and like your history and your relationships and your dynamics. Like, I know how your relationship, like for example, Candy on Real Housewives of Atlanta, I know we know her dynamic with her mother, for example.
Todd was raised by a pimp and a prostitute.
Mama, first off, please do not talk about his deceased father. His dad died. He's never even known.
I don't need to know that. And I think it goes back to the thing, I don't need to know this. And I think that was a withdrawal that I had when I stopped watching reality TV, because it's like, I want to know. But I had to ask myself, do I need to know this? Like, is this necessary information for me in my life? And does this even edify, benefit, or even produce fruit in my life? I don't think so. So that's why I think reality TV is such an interesting concept, and it's such an interesting way of life, where we are indulging and consuming so much about other people, but they don't know us. Like, they do not know us. But one thing that all of these shows have in common is a hyperfixation on status and wealth. And as much as they're just reflecting our world, because we can see that in our world there are wealth disparities, there are, you know, clear class and status differences when it comes to, if we look at it in our day-to-day life, like it is very clear. Like, there are some areas that are richer, there are some urban areas, there are some classy and uppity areas, like we know this, right? But I also feel like watching these lifestyle shows not only reflects it, but is also reinforcing it. It is also reinforcing a lifestyle and a way of life that status and image and wealth is so important. Like, it's extremely important to an individual. And even within themselves, you also see how they treat each other based on that. You see how they speak about each other because, you know, one person doesn't have that much money, or that person is in debt, or that person pays for rent and doesn't own their house, or this person, like, I have heard it all. Like, we have heard it all, from Real Housewives of Miami to Beverly Hills to, they have always had a conversation around wealth and money, who owns, who doesn't own, or who's just married for wealth, or who's like self-made. Like, there's always been a conversation around their status and their ownership, and how important they are based on how many figures is attached to them. That's interesting as well.
Ooh, the ghetto. The ghetto. The ghetto. Ah! Oh, you dressed all shocked. Where you live, bitch?
You look good.
What is this, honey? I was shocked, honey. I was in tears almost. And it has a white refrigerator. I was like, oh, Oh, not a white refrigerator. Girl, please put your shoes on. Let's go find you a home, honey. Ooh, Lord. Bling, bling, bling.
I've been an actress in this business for a long time. I've done glam for my job. Half the time you guys see me when I meet you, I'm coming from set.
I am Denise Richards Kyle. I don't think these bitches know. I've been on like every magazine cover you can possibly imagine that they would want to be on.
And if we are watching this, and as I said before about if we are watching those dating shows and it's affected us, now if we are watching shows that reinforces the idea that the most important thing about you is your status, is your wealth, is your ownership, then does that not mean that when we are now looking at people in our lives, we're like, oh, this person has more followers, okay, she's important. Oh, this person has lots of likes on Instagram, oh, she's important. Oh, this person works this job and she dresses like this and she has that bag, oh, that person's important, I want to get to know her. It's really like a very, I feel like everything is dystopian, like, but it is, like, you can't tell me this is not just, like, you can't tell me that, you know, not only are we trying to combat this and trying to discuss it and saying the ways that we do things are not correct, we are watching things that tells us it's okay to do it. So then when people do it in real life, why are we so shocked? Why are we so shocked? I'm not shocked. It's you watch it, we reinforce it, we entertain by it, we laugh about it, we talk about it, we accept it, we don't challenge it. So then when people treat each other in day-to-day life like, oh, you know, do you know your class? And we just end up saying, you know what, it is what it is. Like, it is what it is. Like, this is how the world is. This is how society runs. And there we go. And I think that's the major reasons why I started my channel. Like, insert little bit of a Michaela time. Well, this is one of the reasons why I did start my channel, because I feel like we consume so much media. Like, it is crazy. Like, the most that we consume is actually media, and I feel like there's not a lot of us that are consuming it but also presenting challenges and also trying to dissect it for other people. That's why I love video SAS, I love social commentary, because it's like we watch, we consume, we hear, we listen, but then how are we breaking it down? Like, how are we relating it to our life? How are we analyzing it? How are we saying, hey, actually I can watch this, but I have a critical thinking, I have some brain cells now to say, this one talk about toxic masculinity. Okay, I'm not going to go there. This one is talk about female dynamics that is not healthy. I know that. So instead of actually just consuming, I just wanted to create a space where people just watch, listen, but then also just want to have some critical thought to what we are consuming. And that's why you should subscribe to my channel. What I do want to touch on as well is how a lot of the lifestyle TV shows, the lifestyle reality TV stars, are mainly focused about female dynamics and female relationships. There is no, like, I am not confused as to why when you go on TikTok and Instagram, you see people talk about how to maintain a female relationship and you see like girls talking about their friendships. Again, what we are consuming is just garbage content about how females work with each other and how females can't get along together, and how females bicker with each other, and they're very catty and they're very gossipy, and they just cannot coexist in peace and harmony. Now, that's why we go on TikTok and we see content about people saying, oh, my, like, friend drama and friendship breakups and all that stuff, because this is what is consumed for the past decades, literally upon decades. We have seen women fight, we've seen women tear each other down, we've seen women cuss each other out. Like, that is what we have been consuming. And again, it's either reinforcing it in terms of normalizing it, but then also it's also making people fear relationships and friendships in a female dynamic too.
And then we were like, oh, we're just watching Emily and Connor, like, you would bang in front of us. Yeah. And she was like, Emily's just... And I was like, what? And she was like, she's just, I don't know what, I can't quote the words because...
I'm not, you know, you're not even worth my breath. You're disgusting. All right, time out. Oh wait, now you're the mother? Time out.
I am a mother, I am a mom.
Hi, Camille.
She does have two sons.
The dramas, the fights, the controversy, like everything that we see, it doesn't make good world building, in my opinion. It doesn't make good world building in a sense of, oh, it's helping society, it's building our culture, it's helping us develop in terms of our thoughts, it helps us develop in how to interact with people, it doesn't actually do us any justice. It just reinforces how bad society is sometimes, and also just says, hey, yeah, let's normalize it too. And even think about, like, I was thinking about cosmetic surgery and plastic surgery. If you look at some of the people on reality TV, so if you look at like people on Basketball Wives or Housewives or, you know, Vanderpump Rules or whatever, you can, if you see them from season 1 all the way to now, you would see that they did a whole transformation. And we love to just have a go at influencers and TikTokers and Instagrammers that don't really, like, are not very transparent, right? But reality TV stars are the people when it comes to, oh no, just a little tweak here. They are just not transparent with it. And like, you sit there and you're wondering, wait a second, she looks different. And people do like talk about it, but then it's like, no, just like, it's not like, I didn't do anything to my body. The one person who did this the most was in Real Housewives of Miami. If you know, you know who I'm talking about, right? And watching that was like a shock to my system, because I was like, we clearly can see the difference, okay? We can clearly see the difference. So then why then say not, like, then why lie? Then why not be transparent about it? And it's like, obviously some people could be like, duh, 2 plus 2 is 4. But then there's other people who is like watching that, it's like, okay, I now want to get my body done. Like, I want to know how to get plastic surgery. Now, I want to go do something to my body and my face, because these are the people that I've grown up with and seen. She's done it. She can do it. There's no consequences. There's no issues to it. Let me go and do it. And I think that is just so scary. Like, influencers get like so much slack for it, but then reality TV stars is like, they go on the show, they don't talk about the consequences, they don't talk about the aftermath, they don't talk about, you know, the difficulty or the cost of going under the knife. Sorry. And I remember like one time I was on TikTok years ago, and someone said that the reason why she watches like lifestyle shows like Kardashians or like example like Selling Sunset, the reason why they watch this is because they are manifesting it. I am no manifesting girl. I'm a Jesus believer. I'm very clear on that. And a lot of you would know that I love Jesus, and anything Jesus wants to be, I will have. However, now, my question now is that if you are watching these shows because you want to manifest their bag, their shoes, their house, their clothes, what about the negative side? 1, and 2, what about the things that are happening behind closed doors that we are not privy to? Like, we don't know what's happening behind closed doors. For example, we all know about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. We know.
Surveillance. We'll get a better idea of what they think their theory is. We know you're innocent.
Right.
What I have been accused of is absolutely.
You ever hear about him taking money or anything before this whole thing blew up?
No.
Like the lawsuits that were against him?
I found out when I was sued in Arizona from a lending company.
So you imagine you manifesting her life and like wanting her life. Do you know the negatives? Do you know what's happening behind closed doors? And to me, that is just where critical thinking does not come in, because okay, you want to manifest a good side, but then what's happening on the bad side? The bad side is her friends are tearing her down. She's going through, like, people going through divorces. There's scandals, there's Ponzi schemes, there's so much, there's fraud. And it's like, okay, so you want all of those things, but then what about how people attain those things? And I just think that's where we're lacking in understanding that you're sitting there watching, wanting what these people have, but you don't know what's happening behind closed doors. So, you know, you have to kind of at least ask yourself, but I don't know these women. Like, I don't know these people on my screen. I don't know who the heck they are for me to say I want their life or I want the things that they have. That to me is so scary. That is just so scary. And again, we have multiple examples from it, like Selling Sunset. Like, we have so many examples of, you know, we want what they want, but then 2 years down the line, you see what's been exposed, you see what's happening behind closed doors. So then I would never say anybody to envy or even want what other people want, because you just don't know. Just stay on your own lane, focus on your own lane. You don't need to watch Kardashians, or you don't need to watch The Selling Sunset. You don't need to watch The Real Housewives and Married to Medicine to feel ambitious or to want to work towards something or to feel good, to be aspired, to have a dream towards something, you don't need it. Like, and I completely understand it because I grew up not rich. I grew up in not a wealthy background. And I think that's why I gravitated to watching it, because it's like, I want to be successful. I want to do well in life. I want to be comfortable. I didn't have that. So then you watch it and you're like, oh, I want those things. But then critical thinking has to come in, and also Jesus help me, but critical thinking has to come in and be like, I shouldn't envy what you have, because I just don't know you and I don't know who you are behind closed doors. Point blank, period. Is social experiment exploitative or insightful? Oh, child. We have discussed how reality TV isn't always the best when it comes to building culture and also world building. That's fine. But when researching this, I've come across a couple TikToks and also just getting my public opinions all straight. I have come across several videos actually about how people say that the smartest person you know watches reality TV.
Friendly reminder that the smartest person you know watches reality TV. And so for those of you who are currently hyper fixated on Love Island USA, just like I am, you're smart, because a show like this is a mixture of anthropology, psychology, sociology. It's a lens into the human experience, because we get to learn about microaggressions, nonverbal language. We get to psychoanalyze all of these scenarios that we're presented with.
I actually understand that statement only when it comes to social experiment type of shows. I don't necessarily think you need to watch reality TV to be a smart person. I don't think so. But do I think I've learned a lot from reality TV? I have. Like, look at this video. I love humans. I love the things that we come up with, especially on TikTok and Instagram. I love it when we just come up with our thoughts and our ideas and, you know, our arguments to things and how people get to that argument. It's so interesting to me. I think it's very much based on how the viewer engages with the content. For example, when I was 13 years old, I think what I was watching then was trash. Now, when I was maybe 23, 24, 25, I was now watching it in a better lens. I was more critical. I was more analytical. I was asking more questions. I was challenging. And I was also noticing, hey, actually, this is not how you interact. Like, this is just not how you interact with people in life. This is just not good. But at 13, I probably was just consuming and not actually challenging. That is when I would say that's just trash TV. And you're just going down a rabbit hole and trying to make an argument that doesn't make sense. So I completely agree that you can watch this type of stuff. People has done dissertations on it. People have researched it. People have studied it. People have analyzed it. So of course it's intellectual content. Of course it can be intellectual content. But to say reality TV in itself, removing the viewer's intentions, of removing the viewers itself, is in itself intellectual and a smart piece of content. I don't know. Personally, I don't know. I don't know if I'd say I don't know, but I'm saying I don't know as in, like, I don't think so. But I do hear it for social experiments, such as the 90-Day Fiancé, such as like Married at First Sight, The Bachelor, The Ultimatum, Love is Blind, 90 Days Fiancé. Like, those are quite interesting social experiments. They do overlap with the dating shows, as I previously spoke about, but the only difference is there's no money or winning prize at the end. So that's why I think they're extremely different. That they either, you know, go on the show with the intention to find love, and it's nothing got to do with money, and they're not monetarily blessed by it, okay? So it's specifically for love. And I think that's why it's a social experiment. We are here to engage and to see if people or a couple were put into this environment, would their relationship work? Now, is it exploitative? Or is it insightful? It is insightful because it's interesting. And that's why it makes good TV. And that's why Love is Blind has been successful. That's why Married at First Sight has always been a topical conversation with people, because it is interesting. Falling in love with somebody that you've only first met at the altar, or falling in love with someone that you've never seen or met before, it challenges how dating has always been, which is you look at someone, you get attracted to them, and like you get to know them, and you have an opportunity to unravel and decide. Whereas like these shows, it's very different. It's very unique. However, I always have my opinions, and that's why we have this channel, right? I do think that these shows also exploit people's fears, traumas, and also like past baggage. If we watch all of these seasons, if we watch at people's experiences, for example, we are literally seeing people experience and relive certain traumas. And I also feel like we are watching someone actually create a trauma. I don't know if that makes sense. We are literally first-handedly watching a trauma being created in someone's life, and it's on 4K screen for us. That is what I just don't know about. And I think that is where, again, the thought process of, is this good TV? Like, is this supposed to be good? It is good TV, obviously, evidently, because it's entertaining, but then is it good world building TV? That's the question, because I'm all about good world building, right? I love the world to be better. I love the world to be smarter, you know, wiser. I do love that. For example, recently Milton and Lydia from one of the Love is Blind seasons has recently divorced, and I watched her video, and to me I was like, this woman has got into a relationship, got into a marriage online, she has divorced online, and millions of people have opinions, thoughts, judgments, all of it on her. This has literally created a trauma, and I am single-handedly experiencing and watching this girl like experience trauma, and that trauma is going to be with her for the rest of her life.
Love is Blind's Lydia Arlene is opening up about her split with Milton Johnson, cheating accusations, and what she says has been a tumultuous few years.
But then the next day he switched up very quickly and said, oh, it's because you were going through my things. Blamed you. Yeah, he flipped it on me.
The reality star claims Milton attempted to control what she posted on Instagram and the outfits she wore, but says the final straw was the alleged repeat infidelity.
That is what I feel like is just not sitting well with me, and I don't know whether or not anyone else has feeling that too. Like, I'm literally seeing someone be teared down and being spoken to disrespectfully, being cheated on, like first-handedly, and that's entertainment for me. I just don't feel comfortable with that. That's sad. Some of these like scenes shows as well, like you can see how painful it is for some of them and how they've experienced it. You can see some of these contestants literally shaking and crying and being really emotional by it. And the amount of strength and the amount of like mental strength that you would probably have to go through that, I don't know, because your whole life is up for public scrutiny. Like your whole life is up for people to judge and to question and to actually like tear you down. And I also think it's therapy for people online. And like I feel like when people are watching, it's also therapeutic because these people are being real with their experiences. People are being very transparent and vulnerable, and as viewers we're like, oh, you know, I don't know them, but I can relate to them to a degree. However, I still have that sense of I don't need to see you vulnerable, and I don't even want you to be vulnerable, because I know that there are so many people out there that are going to judge you and that are going to scrutinize you, that are going to speak about how you look, they're going to speak about how you speak, they're going to speak about how what your beliefs are or what you did or like your shortcomings and your flaws, and like it's just really drastic and really big and really in your face. Even like 90 Day Fiance, right? That show, it is hilarious, right? See what I'm saying? It's hilarious. It's hilarious because we are seeing people get manipulated, potentially even abused, and even somebody being completely fooled by the other person. That is what I said is hilarious. Is that good world building? I don't know. This guy is completely ruining her life and we're just eating it up. This woman is completely ruining his life and we're just like, yeah, girl. Funny. Like, I just don't understand. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't really understand how we've got into a world where our entertaining and what we find fun and really cool is another person's downfall or another person's bad experience in love or another person's trauma being birthed, like, or even relived. That to me, it's just crazy. It's crazy. Even the ultimatum has such an interesting concept for me, where it's like you have to see whether or not you truly love the person that you're with by being tested by another person. And me personally, I'm a married woman, right? I think that is such a low way of evaluating whether or not you want to be with somebody, because instead of you to compare, like, not even compare, instead of you to evaluate the person you're with just who they are by themselves, you have to then experience somebody else and compare them to somebody else. That to me is just very shallow decision making. Like, it's not good decision making, because now the other person that they come, you will then compare that other person with somebody else again. It will just be, you can always compare somebody to compare to somebody else, instead of just evaluating the person that you're with and saying, oh, do they love me? Do they respect me? Do they care about me? Do they bear good fruit in my life? Like, all these questions. But no, I have to be tested and tempted by somebody else to determine whether or not I should be with you. Like, it's just so backwards. Like this is why I have this question of, is it exploitative or is it insightful? It is insightful only because it's exploitative and because they're displaying people to be vulnerable and completely be open, exposed for people to just tear them down, and also have judgments on how they go about their relationships, just like I'm doing right now, right? I'm judging how these people go about their business online. That's what it's inside. That's the interesting part, is the psychological part of, how could you do this? Like, how could you go on a show to be tempted by somebody else when you're in a long-lasting relationship, long lifetime relationship with somebody else, and you are willing to get that broken because you want to be tempted by somebody else, or you are willing to marry this person in 90 days to see whether or not they would stay with you or not. That is what makes it insightful, because it is so wild, and that is what the format of that show is. It's all good, entertaining TV. Essentially, is reality, in my opinion, the best form of TV? No. Do I feel like everyone should stop watching reality TV? No. I think, if it's interesting for you, it's your cup of tea, go for it. As I said, I'm watching reality TV again. I'm watching Love Island UK at the moment. It is definitely interesting, but I'm not going to watch all of them. I'm not going to watch all the shows out there. I'm not going to watch it as frequently. I might not watch it as regularly as I used to, but I do feel like we do need to be a bit more critical, and I do think we should have the tools to be able to say, this isn't good. Like, they're talking about female dynamics, they're talking about wealth here, the way they treated her was just not right, and it does not make sense why they treated her. Like, and as well, what I realized is that people have different opinions on the same topic. For example, like how Militia was treated badly by Megan. A lot of discourse on that on social media right now, of how you're only defending Militia because you're black, or you don't like Meg because, like, all these kind of, everybody has different opinions, and I think it also shows how people think. Like, I do like how reality TV shows how people think. It gives people an opportunity to display what they truly think about people and how people should be treated in society. If someone is getting ganged up on a reality TV and everyone is like, yeah, that's fine, it shows where we are in society. I think reality TV does do a good job in giving people an opportunity to show where we are at in society. But yeah, this is what I've come to. Like, is it a form of intellectual discussion? Absolutely. We have so many people out here in the world who've discussed these type of things, and I think we should have more of it. Personally, I think we should have more, but do I think in itself it is the best form of content to be consuming? No. You can never go wrong with being more switched on with what you're consuming. Even with everything that I'm consuming now, be switched on with what I'm saying. Challenge me if you want to challenge me. Ask me questions if you want to ask me questions. It's a form of media, so do the same thing over here, but yeah, this is just my deeper questions. These are a space for me to share my thoughts, but also a space for you to share your thoughts to me. I'm always in the comments. I'm always looking at people's comments, so why don't you comment down below what you think? Don't forget to subscribe, don't you forget to like, and also don't forget to follow me on all my other social platforms, because I'm also there doing snippets and shorter form content on things that I just want to talk about too. But yeah, I will see you guys next time. It's your host, it's me, Michaela Evelyn, and I will see you guys next time.